Before we get into today's video, I want to give a huge thank you to the video sponsor as well as the channel sponsor, which is Floodgate Games. And today we're going to be talking about a game called Sagrada. This is a great family game. It is a dice drafting game where you are going to be drafting dice and creating your stained glass window, but being careful of specific colors and specific numbers needing to be in specific spots. Players will have public objectives as well as secret objectives to go for. There are different tools to use to help you with your task, as well as different expansions that are available to add some more depth and more challenge to the game. There is life, passion, as well as glory available. And with this video being all about games from $30 to $50, Sagrada is a great choice for this video, coming in at $43.95. It is a fantastic, easy to learn, easy to teach game for both people within the hobby and outside the hobby. You can even grab some of the expansions for $19.95 to add to someone's collection if they already have the base game of Sagrada. Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to the second episode of the Gifting Garden. This is my take on a gift guide where basically I am doing 4 different episodes, we're on number 2 right now, of board game recommendations within some sort of price range. So the first one that I did, I will link it up here for you guys to go check out, but these were 10 board game recommendations that were under $30. This is Canadian because I am from Canada. So today we're going to be doing something very similar, but instead of doing 30 and under, we are taking one step upwards and we are going to be doing $30 to $50 Canadian. So if you guys want to hear about all of these 10 recommendations for games from $30 to $50, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And without further ado, let's get into this gifting gardening episode, shall we? All right, so quickly before we get into the 10 recommendations, I did want to show you guys my sweater because I love this sweater. I've had it for a while, but I don't know if I've showed it here on the Board Game Garden, but it says Gangster Rapper. It has like the money sign gift. I love it. Anyways, we're gonna get into this. I am gonna start with the one that is the lowest and then going up to the one that is the most expensive, obviously still within this range of $30 to $50 Canadian. But the first one is what I think is actually a very underrated game. I love this game. You guys should definitely check it out. I love the theme of this game. The gameplay of this game is very unique in my opinion, and it's one that I feel like I always want to come back and play because, like I said, it's very unique and different from anything that I have in my collection. But this one is coming in at $31.95 Canadian, and that is Astra, which I believe this one came out last year, and the moment I saw this game, I'm like, I need that game in my life because I'm a huge fan of anything constellations and zodiac signs and stuff like that, and that is what this is. There's a little bit of like an area control aspect of it, or like a area majority aspect to it as well, which I am usually not into, but in this kind of game, which like I said, it's like a very unique, like area majority, not roll and write, but kind of like a fill in the card right kind of thing. It's very interesting. I absolutely love it. Basically on your turn, you're going to have Stardust, I believe what it's called, to spend in order to fill in different stars on different constellation cards. And how many like you fill in is going to cost you that many in Stardust. You're going to spend those, fill in a certain amount. Once one of the cards or one of the constellations is fully filled in, whoever last put a star on it, so whoever filled in that last star on that constellation, is going to get that card, but every other person that kind of helped that player discover that star, they are going to be able to get a boon or some sort of reward for helping with that. And you're going to, if you've had the most on that card, you get first choice of the reward, and there's some rewards at the bottom. And then also the card, so the player that gets the card is going to get some sort of ability on that card that they can use. There's a little bit of like set collection, so you're wanting to collect certain types of those constellations. There's like fire, water, earth, and wind. So you're trying to do some set collection with that. And then you're also going to be getting victory points for different things throughout the game. You can get rewards of victory points, stuff like that. But I love Astra. And like I said, I feel like this one is very much an underrated game. And I definitely recommend checking it out because it is very unique, very fun. It plays, I believe, 2 to 5. Yeah, 2 to 5 players. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a solo mode, but I'm sure someone maybe at this point has made a solo mode for it. But that is number 10. That is Astra. Moving into the next one, this is actually one that surprised me quite a bit. It is coming in at $32.95. It is a cooperative spelling game, which both of those things, spelling games and cooperative games, are usually not something that I'm drawn to. I'm not very good at spelling. I don't really love cooperative games unless it is a fantastic game, and in this case, it definitely is, and that game is Illiterati. So if you enjoy Scrabble and Paperback, which is another fantastic spelling game, I think you would enjoy Illiterati. I don't know if I've actually played this. Yes, I have. I've played this with my parents. My mom absolutely loves Scrabble, so this was one that we got and knew that, you know, my mom would love it. So Illiterati, like I said, is a cooperative game where basically you're going to be working together in order to defeat the Illiterati. And in order to do this, you have to, each player is going to have in the first round a specific objective that they have to finish. So you're each going to have this little book that's going to tell you some sort of category and how many letters you have to use in these different words that connect to that category. So for example, my card might be colors, and it might say I need to use 8 letters. So I need to, in order to like complete that objective, I need to spell words that equal up to 8 letters. So I could do, you know, 2 4-letter words, I could do a 5-letter word and a 3-letter word, and both of those words have to be colors or something in that specific category. And then also you're gonna have to use specific letters that have specific icons on them. So for example, yours might be colors, like I said, 8 letters used, and you have to use 3, or you have to have 3 cloud icons within those words that you use. So once you've done that, you've completed that objective, and then you have another objective. And once each player, I believe, completes 2 of their objectives, then you go into the final chapter, and you're going to then have to complete the same final chapter objective altogether in order to defeat the Illiterati. There's a little bit more to it. There's like Illiterati cards, so it makes you kind of do bad things at the end of each round. So it might be that you have to discard any 4-letter word, things like that. And it is real time. So you're going to be flipping over all of these different letter tiles, and within, I think it's like a minute or 2 minutes, you have to spell those words. And you can like spell words that are not in your category, which often you do have to do, because any letters that you have left over after each round that is more than 3 tiles, because you have a library in the middle that can only have 3 tiles. Any that is over those 3 tiles, so letters that you don't use in words, they will go against you, and eventually if you burn too many tiles, then you're going to lose the game. So it's this very fun, quick, real-time spelling game. I love the theme of trying to defeat the Illiterati and things like that. So this one is very, very fun. Really enjoyed it. Like I said, I really didn't have high hopes for it because I'm not a huge fan of cooperative games as well as spelling games. So I was happy that this one ended up being a good one and that I really enjoyed it. So that is Illiterati, coming in at $32.95. Next up is actually a 2-player only game. I don't have a ton of 2-player only games, or we do, but I think this one might be my favorite 2-player only game. I love this game so much, and it comes in at $33.95, so $1 more, and that is Caper Europe. I love this game so much. Shout out to my friend Steph. We actually did a little trade, and she gave me a copy of Caper Europe, which I am very happy I have it in the collection because I really enjoy this one. Francis also really enjoyed this one, so I'm surprised we haven't played it since we started playing it, or since we got it. I think we've played it like once or twice together. But yeah, Caper Europe is a 2-player only game where you're going to be head-to-head with the other player, and you are going to be playing down cards on your side. There's a little bit of area control or area majority on each of these different locations. There's some set collection, different things like that. It's basically a closed drafting game or open drafting game. Basically the type of game where you have a hand of cards, you take one, you pass it to the player, and then they pass you yours, you take one, you pass it on. You continue doing that until there's no more cards, and these cards are going to be composed of either your thieves, so there's different types of thieves that you're going to be playing to different locations, and then you have your gear, I believe that's what it is. where you're going to be playing the gear onto these different thieves at these different locations. Like I said, there's some set collection. There is some, I guess it's just a lot of set collection, really. Whatever like things you're playing down can either get you coins, or they're going to spend you, or like cost you coins, I guess. It is a fantastic game. I absolutely love it. It's quick. It's easy to learn. That is Caper Europe, coming in at $33.95. I definitely recommend if you're looking for a good 2-player only game, this one is the one to check out. Next up is one that is coming in at $36.95. This is another real-time game, but it is a competitive real-time game. This is one that Francis, actually when we first played it, he despised it. He did not like it at all. But as we've played it more and more, he has fell in love with this game. I think he said that this is one of his favorites that we've played this year thus far. But that is Fit to Print. So Fit to Print is, like I said, a competitive game. I believe there is a solo mode with this one. It plays 1 to 6 players, which is awesome, and it is a real-time game where you are a newspaper company trying to puzzle together your newspaper, putting in all of the articles and photos and advertisements in your newspaper for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday newspaper. Each of the newspaper spreads are going to be getting bigger each day, and you're going to be getting victory points for how you place these different things in your newspaper. And like I said, it is a real-time game where the time is going to start. I believe you have 4 minutes to both get all of your tiles that you need and then also place them out or put them in your layout for your newspaper. So they're all going to be face down. You're going to be picking up these tiles, flipping them over, deciding if you want to keep it for your like newspaper or if you want to put it back down. If you put it back down, you have to place it face up. So all of the other players at the table now can see what that tile is and they can steal it. But you're just basically just grabbing those things. You can't place them onto your newspaper until you say layout. So you're kind of in your head having this spatial puzzle of like, what can I fit on my newspaper? How can I fit them all together? Different things score in different ways. Different colored articles can be placed beside each other, but the same colored articles cannot. Photos can't be touching. Advertisements can't be touching, things like that. And it's just this great spatial puzzle of trying to lay out this newspaper and getting victory points in different ways. There is a different variant where it's not real time and you can actually take turns and you can get your different tiles. I haven't played it that way yet because I really personally enjoy the real time aspect. It's a lot of fun. It makes the game not last too long. I believe you are doing it for 3 rounds and each of those rounds are going to be, I believe, 4 minutes. I could be wrong, but I think each round is going to be 4 minutes. So 4 minutes plus a little bit of time in between each round to do the scoring and stuff like that. But really it's just this quick game, takes maybe 20 minutes and it plays all the way up to 6 players. So being able to play a fun game like this within less than a half an hour with 6 players is just absolutely fantastic. This is one that I've been really enjoying this year, and I'm excited to play this solo because there is a solo mode as well. So that is Fit to Print coming in at $36.95. Moving on to another 2023 release that I can just not get over how much of a game you get in a small box, and also coming in at $38.95. This is a freaking steal. There also is another game in this like series that is a small box. Pretty sure it's just as affordable as well, but the game that I am talking about is the White Castle. So this one does retail for $38.95. It is this small box game. It's not very big. Like I mentioned, there is another one called the Red Cathedral that came out before this one. That is in a small box, even smaller than this one actually, and I'm pretty sure it is around the same price, maybe slightly less. I haven't played the Red Cathedral yet, but I'm sure it is amazing as well. I've heard some great things about it, and I'm very excited to eventually get into that one. But yeah, the White Castle is this fantastic dice drafting, dice worker placement game where you are just trying to get as much done on the limited turns that you have. Basically on your turn, you're going to be drafting a die, placing that die onto different worker placement spots. Depending on the color of the die, you then are going to be able to do some sort of action depending on the spot that you go to. And you only get to do this 9 times. You have 9 turns. There's 3 rounds, and each round you can draft and place 1 die. and you're just trying to, on your turn, combo as many things as possible, because obviously you're picking up one die and placing one die, and then you're hoping that that action then feeds into another action that ends up feeding into another action, so that you can get as much as done as possible on your turn. And this is just such a fantastic game. You guys will most likely be hearing about this game more in my top games of 2023. Also, Fit the Print will most likely be in there as well. But the White Castle, I just, again, cannot get over how much game is in this box for such an affordable price. So if you're looking for, if you're a big fan of, you know, big Euro games, point salad games, then definitely check out the White Castle. Absolutely fantastic, and only $38.95 Canadian. That is the White Castle. All right, so moving into the second half of this video. The other 5 are here on this side. The first one is actually an Oink game, which Oink games are more well known for their small box games. You might know them for Scout, which is a very popular one. Also Cafe Order Overload, or Order Overload Cafe, as well as Deep Sea Adventure. Those are the 3 that we have. But this one is actually one that I picked up at Gen Con. It comes in at $39.95. The reason why this one is slightly larger than your average Oink game is because they have these fantastic, like, acrylic tiles. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Mahjong tiles, and they are going to be numbered from 2 to 8. And you also have those numbers in blue and red, obviously by the cover here. But this is a very interesting game. It's very different from any game that I have in the collection, and it's the reason why I was so happy that I ended up picking it up at Gen Con. I had no idea how this game played at Gen Con. I think I was like at the Oink booth with Jamie from Foster the Meeple, and she picked it up. I heard some other people talking about it in their most anticipated games. I really enjoy Oink games, so I'm like, you know what, let's just pick it up, see how it is, and I'm very happy that I did, because it is a fantastic, very unique game that I'm happy to have in the collection. But basically, you're going to have some tiles in front of you. They're going to be private from everybody else. And on your turn, you're going to be, actually, if you're the first player, then you're going to be placing down one of those tiles and saying, I'm going to attack with a 3. So you're going to place down a 3. The next person in turn order can either pass if they'd like to, or they can defend with that same number. So if they had a 3, they could say, I'm going to defend with a 3. And then they are going to then be able to attack with a different number. So for example, that player might decide to attack with a 7. The next player in player order can pass or defend with a 7. This continues until one player has played down their last tile, and this is where the interesting part of the game happens, because the last tile played is the only thing that that player is going to get scored for, or get victory points for. And you're going to be trying to be the player that gets to 10 victory points first, I believe. There's a bunch of different scenarios, but that last number is always going to determine how many victory points you get. But depending on the scenario that you choose, that number is going to get you a different amount of victory points, depending on the scenario that you choose. So yeah, it's this very interesting kind of thought process of playing down these tiles as quick as possible, but also keeping in mind which one you're going to be playing last, so that you can get as many victory points as you can in order to get to those 10 victory points first. So very, very cool. I really enjoy it. The funny thing is that watching people play this game is probably the funniest thing, because it's just one person plays, it's like, I'm going to attack with a 3. I'm going to defend with a 3. I'm going to attack with a 5. I'm going to defend with a 5. It's just like so funny, but then like just the thought process in everyone's head while you're playing is just so cool, and like I love this game. So that is Tiger and Dragon. I definitely recommend checking it out if you have not already. It's a very, very interesting game, and that is coming in at $39.95. Moving into another game that I believe is $39.95 as well. This one I haven't played too many times, but I've played it both multiplayer and solo at this point, and I really like it. I love the theme of this one, and it's just a very approachable game. I feel like most of these thus far have been very approachable, but this one I feel like you could play with a lot of people, and that is Cosmoctopus. This is a game where you are trying to be the first player to, I guess, like summon the Cosmoctopus, and you're going to be doing this by collecting 8 tentacles before the other players. This has some like resource management and a little bit of, I don't quite think it's set collection, but there's like some hand management as well, where you're gonna have cards in your hand. There's a few different types of cards. Some of the cards are going to build up like a tableau in front of you that are going to get you different powers. There's some cards that you also put in the tableau, but those are going to be the cards that you're going to be using your resources in order to gain those tentacles. There's also going to be cards that are going to get you resources right away, like have different powers and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of tableau building, hand management, resource collection. So fun. I love the style of the cards and stuff. And there's also going to be this part in the middle where you are going to be on your turn moving your little piece on the board, and then that's going to be how you collect your resources. And overall, it is a pretty straightforward game with some fun mechanics. I really love the race to try to get those tentacles before the other players. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out Cosmoctopus. It is a lot of fun. I love the theming, like I said, of the game. And it's just a good time. So that is Cosmoctopus, coming in at $39.95. Moving into another cooperative game, and this was actually a game that surprised me very much. I didn't think I would enjoy this game as much as I did, and you guys might actually see this game in another video soon of my like top games of 2023. But that game is The Art Project. So this game is coming in at $42.95, and like I said, it is a cooperative game, but I think this might be like my favorite cooperative game I've played in a very long time. It was so much fun, and I don't know why. It's just so good. There's also solo mode in it. I haven't played the solo mode yet, but I've played this a few times multiplayer, and I want to play it again. It was so much fun. But basically you were trying to retrieve stolen art pieces, I believe, from different locations. You're going to be fighting the White Glove Society or something like that, White Hand Society. And you're going to be using different resources in order to do this. You can hire different allies with walkie-talkies, which are a resource. You can add strength to your different battles with some little gun resources. You're going to be using the little gas resources in order to move around the map to different locations, and you're going to be trying to collect, like I said, those different stolen art pieces in order to win the game. And the really fun thing, and I don't know why this is something I find really fun, but at the beginning of the round you're going to all have 2 cards, and you're going to have to play a card and discard a card. And those cards are basically just going to be resource conversion cards, so you're going to have to maybe pay some resources in order to gain some resources. It's going to add some of those little white hands to different locations that you have to defeat in order to collect these stolen art pieces. And there's something about having to like talk amongst the group and decide like, oh, I'm gonna play this card and discard this card. Each of the cards also are going to gain you different icons, and once you have played 3 of the same icon, that's going to allow you to add one of the stolen art pieces to that specific location connected to that icon. And when I played this for the first time, we played it on stream, which I will put it up here if you guys wanna go check out how it plays and watch the stream that I did with some of my friends. Right when we played that, I'm like, that was such a fun game. So we ended up playing it again with Francis' family. We all enjoyed it very much. I believe we played it at the max player count, which was 6 players, but you can play this from 1 to 6, and I just can't get over this game. So that is why I'm recommending it to you if you enjoy cooperative games, if you want to play with a group of people all working together in order to retrieve these stolen art pieces. I definitely recommend The Art Project. Yeah. $42.95, definitely go and check it out. All right, 2 more to go. This next one is coming in at $44.95, so we're getting pretty close to that $50 limit here, but this is a game that I've had in my collection for quite a long time. I've played this both multiplayer and solo a ton of times, and I do believe that this might have been pretty close to my favorite game of all time back in like 2021, and I've continued to play it, and I absolutely love it. And that game is The Search for Planet X. So like I said, this one comes at $44.95, and it is a pure deduction game. And you're going to be looking at this map of the galaxy, and you're trying to figure out and deduce where planet X is. So basically the map or the board is going to have a circle. I kind of refer to it as the pie. And then that circle or pie is going to be cut into pie pieces, and you're going to try to deduce what is in each section of the pie. There can only be one thing in each section, and each of the different things, so there are asteroids and comets and dwarf planets and empty space, and then obviously the planet X. There's going to be one of each item in those different sections, and each of those items is going to kind of have its own rules. So for example, the asteroids are either going to be in one big section of 4, or they're going to be in 2 smaller sections of 2. So you're kind of trying to deduce where these asteroids are. Obviously, if you found 3 asteroids in one area, you know that the 4th asteroid is then on the left side or the right side of the other asteroids. And on your turn, you're going to be doing different things with an app. It is an app integrated game, but basically you're going to be deciding what you want to do on your turn. That's going to determine how many spaces you move or how much time it's going to cost you. And you're going to be, searching different segments. You could, for example, on your turn, search segment 2 through 6, maybe 2 through 5. It will tell you, there is 1 asteroid within these segments, or it could say there's 2 asteroids within these segments. So you kind of can deduce where you think these different things are. You can do research, which is going to give you more information on the different elements and different rules. So for example, directly across from asteroid, a comet is going to be. So once you've discovered where the asteroids are, then you can deduce, where maybe the comets are and different things like that. It is a deduction game, so it's quite brain-burny and thinky, which I absolutely love. I'm talking way too much about this game, so you guys know I love it. But that is the search for Planet X. All right, the last game is coming in at $48.95, so pretty close to that $50 mark. But that game is Trailblazers. So I believe this was actually a 2023 release as well. And this one comes in a few different variations. So this one right here is the just normal standard retail edition. They also have a travel size where you can get it. I think you can get them in 2 different travel sizes. One, you just get the cards, and then the other one, you actually get this little waterproof carrying case. You can actually bring it while you're hiking somewhere, different things like that. The cards, I believe, are also waterproof, so you can really take this anywhere and it doesn't really damage the game at all. It is a card-based game, so really the only components are the cards. I believe there is an expansion that has animal meeples, which I do think I have them in here. I forget actually if I have the expansion in here. Oh, I do have the expansion. There's also a few different expansions in here as well. But yes, this game is, like I said, a primarily card-driven game where you are going to be doing more closed drafting. You're going to be building up your campsite, I guess. There are 3 different parts of your campsite. There's going to be the walking trails, the boating trails, as well as the biking trails. So the walking trails are brown, the boating trails are blue, and then the biking trails are red. And you're going to be closed drafting. You're going to be choosing 2 cards and then passing the rest to the player on either the left or your right. And you're going to be kind of puzzling out these different paths. Each of the card is going to have some weaving paths of different colors. And you're going to be ultimately trying to create these loops. I think I forgot to mention, but each of the different trails is going to have a main card that you're going to be starting on and ending on, creating these different loops. So for example, you're going to have your boating trail start card, and you're going to try to create these big loops starting from that main card and ending on that main card of these 3 different colors. So it's this great puzzle. I absolutely love it. The game actually plays 1 to 8 players, which I think is probably the best player count range that I've ever seen. And because it is a primarily simultaneous game, you can actually get through turns quite quickly as long as everyone is, making their decisions pretty quick. Obviously, you do have to wait a little bit longer for other people, taking a little bit longer with their decisions, and then obviously, grabbing the cards from the person on your left or your right, doing that again, continuing that around and around until there are no more cards. And there are going to be some public objectives of different things that if you do complete it first, you get some more victory points for it, stuff like that. But if you really enjoy puzzly games, trying to create these different paths, then I definitely recommend Trailblazers. Like I said, with this edition, which is the $48.95 one I'm talking about, you do get an animal expansion, you get some sort of like bonfire expansion, as well as you do have some meeples of the different trails, like the boat, the biking, and the walking. But yeah, this one comes with a few different expansions, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Mix it up with 2 different expansions included, and there are 3 addicting solo modes. I have only played 1 of the solo modes, but there are a bunch of different solo modes, so many different ways to play this game, so definitely recommend checking out Trailblazers, coming in at $48.95. All right, friends, so that is going to be everything for today's gifting garden video. All of these different games coming in at $30 to $50. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing all about these different recommendations. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Also hit the subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And be sure to comment down below if you guys have any other recommendations for me or people watching that are between $30 and $50. Let me know down in the comments section. I'd love to chat about it down there. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.